14 is the natural number following 13 and preceding 15. In speech, the numbers chapter 14 and 40 are often confused. When carefully enunciated, they differ in which syllable is stressed. 14I, fɔəŕtiːn, versus 40, fɔəŕtiː. In relation to the word for, 14 is spelled 14. In mathematics, 14 is a composite number, its divisors being 1, 2, 7 and 14. 14 is the third discrete semiprime and the third member of the discrete semiprime family. The number following 14, 15, is itself a discrete semiprime, and this is the first such pair of discrete semiprimes. The next example is the pair commencing 21. The aliquot sum sigma of 14 is 10, also a discrete semiprime, and this is again the first example of a discrete semiprime having an aliquot sum in the same form. 14 has an aliquot sequence of 6 members. 14 is the third composite number in the 7 aliquot tree. 14 is itself the aliquot sum of two numbers, the discrete semiprime 22, and the square number 169. 14 is the base of the tetradecimal notation. In base 15 and higher bases, 14 is represented as e. 14 is the sum of the first three squares, which makes it a square pyramidal number. This number is the lowest even n for which the equation phi equals n has no solution, making it the first even non-totient. 14 is a Catalan number, the only semiprime among all Catalan numbers. Take a set of real numbers and apply the closure and complement operations to it in any possible sequence. At most 14 distinct sets can be generated in this way. This holds even if the rails are replaced by a more general topological space. See Kuratowski's closure complement problem. 14 is a kth number in base 10. 1, 4, 5, 9, 14, 23, 37, 60, 97, 157. 14 is an open meandric number. 14 is a companion Pell number. According to the Shapiro inequality, 14 is the least number n such that there exist x1, x2, xn such that where xn plus 1 equals x1, xn plus 2 equals x2. There are 14 possible Bravais lattices that fill three-dimensional space. The cube octahedron, the truncated cube, and the truncated octahedron each have 14 faces. The rhombic dodecahedron, which tessellates three-dimensional space and is the dual of the cube octahedron, has 14 vertices. The truncated octahedron, which also tessellates three-dimensional space, is the only permutohedron. In science, chemistry, the atomic number of silicon, the approximate atomic weight of nitrogen, the maximum number of electrons that can fit in an F sublevel. Astronomy, Messier object M14, a magnitude 9.5 globular cluster in the constellation Ophiuchus. The New General Catalogue object, NGC14, a magnitude 12.5 irregular galaxy in the constellation Pegasus. The Saros number of the solar eclipse series, which began on July 31, 2568 BC, and ended on February 6 BC, 1035. The duration of Saros series 14 was 1532.5 years, and it contained 86 solar eclipses. The Saros number of the lunar eclipse series, which began on June 1, 2230 BC, and ended on July 19, 932 BC. The duration of Saros series 14 was 1298.1 years, and it contained 73 lunar eclipses. In religion and mythology, Christianity, the number of stations of the cross. The 14 Holy Helpers were a group of saints formerly venerated together by Roman Catholics. The age of Joseph Smith when he witnessed the first vision. Islam, the number of muqattarat in the Quran. The number of infallibles in Shia Ithna Ash'ari Islam. Hinduism, the number of years of Rama's exile in the forests in Hinduism. Mythology, the number of pieces the body of Osiris was torn into by his fratricidal brother Set. Age 14. Age 14 is the earliest that the emancipation of minors can occur in the U.S. Minimum age a person can purchase, rent or buy tickets to a 14A rated movie in Canada without an adult. Ratings are provincial, so ratings may vary. A movie can be 14A in one or some provinces and PG in other provinces. A movie can also be rated 14A in one or some provinces and 18A in other provinces. Quebec has a different rating system for films. Youngest age in Canada: a person can watch a 14+ rated show without consent from a legal guardian. Minimum age at which one can view, rent, purchase, or buy tickets to an 18A rated movie with an accompanying adult in the Canadian provinces of the Maritimes and Manitoba. Minimum age at which one can work in many U.S. states. Some require parental consent while others don't. Minimum age at which one can work in most Australian states with parents' consent. Minimum age at which one can drive a vehicle in the U.S. with a driver's license. The minimum age limit to drive a 50cc motorbike in Italy. In sports, the G14 is a now defunct union of 18 football clubs. In association football, the number 14 was the number worn by and associated with Johan Cruyff. In 2007, to honor his 60th birthday, his first club, AFC Ajax, decided to never use it again. In Major League Baseball, the American League has had 14 teams from 1977 to 2012, and the National League had 14 teams from 1993 to 1997. In rugby union, the starting right wing wears the 14 shirt. The top 14 is the highest level league in French rugby union. The Southern Hemisphere competition, now known as Super Rugby, was known from 2006 through 2010, an era in which it had 14 teams, as Super 14. In the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, the number 14 car is currently owned by Stewart-Haas Racing. Since 2009, it has been driven by team co-owner Tony Stewart. In thoroughbred horse racing, the following major races have a maximum field of 14 runners: the Preakness Stakes and Belmont Stakes, the final two legs of the U.S. Triple Crown. All of the Breeders' Cup races except for the Dirt Mile, Juvenile Fillies, and Juvenile Fillies Turf. In the PGA, a player can have no more than 14 clubs in the bag. The jersey number 14 has been retired by several North American sports teams in honor of past playing greats or other key figures. In Major League Baseball, the Boston Red Sox, for Hall of Famer Jim Rice; the Chicago Cubs, for Hall of Famer Ernie Banks; the Cleveland Indians, for Hall of Fame player Larry Doby, who also managed the team; the Minnesota Twins, for Kent H.R. Beck; the New York Mets, for Gil Hodges, who both played for and managed the team; the Philadelphia Phillies, for Hall of Famer Jim Bunning; the St. Louis Cardinals, for Ken Boyer. The Seattle Mariners have yet to retire any numbers, but have not issued number 14 since Lou Piniella, manager from 1993 to 2002, left the team. The Cincinnati Reds have taken number 14 out of circulation since Pete Rose accepted a place on MLB's banned list in 1989 for allegedly betting on games. Because of the ban, the Reds cannot retire the number for Rose during his lifetime. They have since only issued the number to his son. In the NBA, the Boston Celtics, for Hall of Famer Bob Cousy; the Golden State Warriors, for Tom Meschery, who played for the team in its past incarnations as the Philadelphia and San Francisco Warriors; the Milwaukee Bucks, for John McLaughlin; the Portland Trail Blazers, for Lionel Hollins; the Sacramento Kings, for Hall of Famer Oscar Robertson, who played for the team when it was known as the Cincinnati Royals; the Utah Jazz, for Jeff Hornacek. In the NFL, the Cleveland Browns, for Hall of Famer Otto Graham; the Green Bay Packers, for Hall of Famer Don Hutson; the New York Giants, for Hall of Famer Y.A. Tittle; the San Diego Chargers, for Hall of Famer Dan Fouts. In the NHL, the Buffalo Sabres, for Rene Robert. In other fields, 14 is the number of days in a fortnight. In traditional British units of weight, the number of pounds in a stone, a number encoded in much of the music of Johann Sebastian Bach. Bach may have considered this number a sort of signature, since given A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, etc., then B plus A plus C plus H equals 14. The number of points outlined by President Woodrow Wilson for reconstructing a new Europe following World War I, see 14 points. The section that you go to when you die in the Grail Quest books. The number of legs on a woodlouse, as well as on hallucigenia, a common designation for the 13th floor in many buildings for superstitious reasons. There are 14 British overseas territories of the United Kingdom. The number of lines in a sonnet. The number 14 airship by Alberto Santos Dumont that was used to test the aerodynamics of his 14 bis airplane. The number of the French department Calvados, a storage server manufactured by IBM. It goes by name of 14, and is pronounced as the separate letters X, I, V. The Piano Sonata No. 14, also known as Moonlight Sonata, is one of the most famous piano sonatas composed by Ludwig van Beethoven. A Symbol of Infinity in The House of Asterion, by George Louis Borges. The 14 words are a phrase used by white nationalists. Nuestra Familia is a gang that uses 14 as their symbol because the 14th letter of the English alphabet is N.